Trustee Foster, is yours okay?
So we have the. This is satisfying. I did not catch us. That was the. Sit our driver. Yeah. No, can't do it. Just do it. Secret.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, right on clock slow. All right. The time, according to our clock, is now 6:30, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Maybe I'll rise to the pledge of allegiance. And allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Clerk Better, maybe you have roll call. Trustee Ostrander, here. Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Check.
Here.
Trustee Hunter, here. Mayor Pro Tem Fisher is excused. And Trustee Foster.
Here.
Ballot one. Does anyone have any modifications for the agenda they wish to bring forward at this time? Okay, so I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. To approve the agenda,
I'll second that.
all in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes, agenda is approved. Okay, so we're moving on to announcements. Are there any announcements from the trustees? Okay, we're going to move on to public comments. In the public comment portion of our meeting, if there's anyone in the audience or on Zoom who would like to speak on a topic that is not on the agenda, please raise your hand and this will be the opportunity for you to come to the stand and do so. I will call on you, and when you come up, please state your name, whether you live in town or out of town, and be sure to write your name on the sheet on the podium for the record. You will have 3 minutes to address the board on any topic that is not currently on the agenda. Is there any public comment at this time? Lena. Please state your name and write down if you can.
Hi there, my name's Mike Jackson. I live out of town, but I've worked on Grand Avenue better than 25 years now. And I'd like to discuss what I hope is the least important matter facing the town today, which is the collection of fees for Grand Avenue merchants to place items on the sidewalk. Are you all aware that there is such a fee? So I came in to see about discussing this as an agenda item. I was given a form to fill out. I filled the form out, submitted it, received nothing in return, no calls, no nothing. Months ago, 60 days at least, I stopped in, hey, what's up? Ruben was nice enough to say that he'd given it to Sam. Heard nothing. See Sam putting up an agenda on the front one day. She said, oh, your item's on the agenda. The mayor has decided to propose exempting flower pots from the fee. Great, but that's not really what I wanted to discuss. But it was on the agenda. This was the evening that y'all had a flock camera discussion as well. So you never got to it, nor could I have this opportunity to speak about it because it was on the agenda. So I'm here tonight because it's not on the agenda. And I stopped in and when I got a second notice, stopped in. Ruben's always polite, didn't think, I said, I don't have anything on the sidewalk. In the past, I'd have a stock tank with flowers, but no longer. And then the other day, the literature boxes that were actually next to my office, Western Colorado Realty office, were in front of the TDS building, were gone. Like, well, the literature company, the Tina, owns the box that she puts her real estate magazines in. So I stopped in. Did you guys pick up those boxes? Yes, because the ordinance says if you don't pay, we can take your stuff. So I went over to the shopper, I explained what was going on, and Tina, the boxes reappeared. It's not on the agenda, I'm here tonight to make you aware of this. I'm also speaking for Alicia Michelson at the Learning Council, because she's over at their park thing, and I'm busy on Tuesday night. They've got tables, they've got chairs. The fee is $25 per year per item. I think it's not nice, I think it's not fair. And I would ask that the council revisit the ordinance. Your staff is enforcing it as they're supposed to. I've got to think it's perhaps also the least revenue generating item in your budget. Please do away with them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Does anyone wish to comment on something that's not on the agenda today? Okay, we'll get to public comment when there are agenda items. Yes, do you have a comment for something not on the agenda? No, to build, sorry, to use your item on the agenda? Topic is on the agenda. Okay, so we'll take public comment when we get to that agenda item. Yes, this is for if there's any public comment about something that's not on the agenda. Okay, I'm gonna.
So Bill Brenner, Paonia. My comment is about a lot of things that appear on the agenda. And my comment is that the town is constrained by finances from fixing its water system so that it doesn't need a moratorium to keep down from overselling even more than water taps and stuff. And so when things come before you, I think you should keep in mind, you should ask yourselves, is this item going to increase the demand on the water system? And I think things related to a development director encouraging housing or encouraging people to move here, or anything that deals with ADUs, any of that kind of thing, you need to ask yourself the question, does this increase the demand on the town's water system? And if the answer is yes, or might be yes, I would ask you to try to think in a coherent policy way about this. And this would include giving away town resources on anything else. It's like, your job is to stand and deliver and stand behind the way you spend our money and do things in our name. And so try to come up with a coherent policy and not just make piecemeal decisions on things put in front of you. That if it involves growth, it involves water, and your job is to fix the water system or come up with a policy about why it's not fixed. And we're 6 years into this moratorium, nobody's dealt with those terms. All the energy so far is in needed repairs on what we've got on a probably unsustainable system. So my ask is think in policy terms, please.
So, is there any other public comment on items not on the agenda? It's not on the agenda. Yeah, items not on the agenda. Please state your name and where you live, if you live in town or out of town.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth and I live in town. I wanted to just bring to account, and this may have already been discussed, but the situation with the bears, and the trash. I'm really shocked that we live in a Colorado town, doesn't have a lot more bear awareness around the trash already. So it's a big concern of mine. And just also informing people that how to handle their trash, since we don't have bear-proof cans or bins. We also don't have covered bins in the park. So like this morning, my friend here, I stopped him because there was trash all over the park from last night. Because of course, there's really edible trash in our trash. There's no covers. So I'm just wanting to bring this in because I really feel like, God forbid, we might need another committee, but we definitely need just more awareness, more understanding. And like, because we do not have bear-proof bins, we need to teach people how to deal with their trash. Honestly, I know it's one-on-one, but most people, like my neighbors, just keep putting their trash in, bear bins every night. It's a security and it's a safety issue. The bear could hurt someone. They're hungry, they're desperate, they're displaced this year. They can't find their usual food sources, so they're even riskier, I think, than normal. And then the other thing I just want to bring is that once the weather turns colder, the bears are going to get triggered to get ready for hibernation. When that happens, they start needing to find food for 20 hours a day. That is their sole focus. So they are trying to fill out calories for hibernate. So I do not know personally, like the solution overall with the bears, if there can be help. I've heard that there's other communities that are bringing the bears out of town and then helping feed them this year because resources are so sparse. I know that we don't want to get in the habit of feeding the bears in town for sure. Unfortunately, that is already happening with people putting their trash that smells really good to a bear in non-bear proof pans. So thank you. Do I sign this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Yes, any other public comment not on the agenda?
Double short, I live in town. Along the same lines of the bear thing. I read an article, some research online. But Tahoe had the same problem back in the early 2000s. One of the ways that they addressed the issue was to take and set up food stations outside of town. They altered where they were setting it up. They only did it for 1 year because they had a perfect storm, just like we do this year. No water, very hot, et cetera, et cetera. It's very easy to find this information. You can Google it, Lake Tahoe, feeding the bears. There's a very nice, about 10-minute documentary on if you YouTube it. And I think that that's something we might consider. Because I agree with this lady, and as it goes farther on in the season, they're going to get hungrier and hungrier, want to prepare for hibernation. And there are a lot of kids that run around this town, not necessarily unattended, but freely. And I just don't, most of you know that I have the snack shop thing. I've had little kids that look to be 11 years old outside buying snacks from my snack shop at after 10 o'clock at night. It's between 11 and 12. And there was a lady who posted, who works for Stevens, or maybe it was the Stevens owner, a video on the message board of a bear that she had videoed going down 2nd Street. And the snack shop is right on 2nd Street. And that kind of concerns me. It doesn't have to be an adult hungry bear, 2 o'clock in the morning. People go to that thing at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I think that it's something we need to seriously address.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments not on the agenda? Yes, please.
My name is Rebecca Delogan, and I live in town.
Second.
What I'd like to say is thank you for hearing me out. I brought this up a few times at meetings I've never gotten on the agenda. But my thing is I want to work with the town about solving the bathroom problem in the town. On the weekends and as a business owner, this past weekend, I had 35 out-of-town guests visit my gallery in one day. And it was on the weekend, Sunday, and no place for them to go to the bathroom. Now, I've been told before, send them to the park. Once I send people to the park, they're not gonna come back downtown to shop, which is taxes for the town. So there's gotta be some solution. We have some existing bathrooms in the towns all over the country. And I've researched a lot of them, and you guys can look it all up on prices going from 60,000 to 300,000, depending on the infrastructure that you put in, whether you're going to do that or not. They're self-cleaning. They tend to be on the spendy side. They're self-cleaning. And whether if you want to listen up to sewer and to water and electricity and all of that. So it's really important that we have something down here, because every single business in this town has the right to refuse people to use their restroom, including restaurants. It's like not illegal for them to say, no, you can't use my facilities. And yet I probably let half a dozen people use my personal bathroom because there's no place for them to go. And it's not fair to our guests. It's not fair to the businesses, because we're all going to lose revenue on this. So I'd like to get your opinion. Do I need to be on to put something in, or can you all like look into this and update us on it? Or you think, or does it need to be requested fully to proceed on the agenda with this? I won't have any stats because you can all look them up.
That's a very good question. Sure. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I have the section word, so we're allowed to ask for questions. Yeah, we can put it in the parking lot. At the end of the meeting, I can put it. We have a new system, we'll put it in the parking lot at the end of the.
Yeah, it's still.
Yeah.
Shows up on the future.
It shows up on the future agenda. I need to put it future agenda.
I know, Administrator, something to describe what this system is, please.
If something's not on the agenda, they can say what the subject is. Gives us a reminder to put it on the future.
So it can be written on this board.
That'd be terrific.
Yes, we're trying this out as a system that Administrator Sum suggested to take input in and mark it down as something that to be followed up with.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. We look forward to looking involved.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
You put downtown. There, public records downtown. We do have comments on the fair stuff at the end of this, will be included in trustee reports. All right. Is there any further public comment on any items that are not on the agenda? Yes, please come up and state your name and where you live.
Suzanne Glassman, I live in town. I don't know what I just heard there up there, but I wasn't there when you said, but I do want to point out that in our neighborhood, there is a lot of bear food and there's plastic in it, so it's obvious it's garbage cans. There's also a lot of bird seed. And I'm just wondering if the town, I mean, this is kind of a big problem. My neighbor has a camera at night and there's really there are different bears. There's a really large one coming through. We live just on Second Street underneath the store ditch. I'd like to see the town maybe start working on some policies or temporary, you know, and in the past they've waived the electric fence, there in town, but maybe bird feeding needs to be looked at because we need to get ahead of this. The trash can situation is more what we have now for trash cans. If I wanted to go and buy their approved trash can or their resistant trash can that's approved, I probably would be allowed to use it. The town probably would pick up my trash because they're only picking up little trash cans that the town bought. There's also, I just want to point out, there's a bug storm drain on Second Street, on the corner of Dearborn and Second. And water is flowing down the gutter. It's probably irrigation water, but this drain has been clogged for a few weeks now. Thanks a lot.
Very awkward, this is my first time doing it in filming. But do we out for? We're gonna move on to the consent agenda, if there's no more public comment. Okay. So
Speak up just a little, we can't hear you.
yeah, sorry about that, I think
It's the
it's
fans.
the fans.
Please, please use that.
But it's all talk, see it back.
That's all right. Members of the board, are there any changes or questions to the consent agenda?
Yes. On the 7/14 regular meeting minutes, it was trustee Foster, not me, who disclosed a professional connection with trustee candidate Everett.
You said that was 7:13.
7/14 regular meeting minutes.
You can correct that before the years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also had one that I wanted to note. There's I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. There's a mention of the new water meters that are going in. And they say that the accuracy rate is over 95%, and I wanted to be sure that the record stated that the current interim water meters that are in there have a less than 10% accuracy rate, and that 10% is missing from the record.
What was the date on that one, trustee Ostrander?
Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me.
It's only in one set that I haven't.
Yeah, the discussion with the engineers.
So this is a special meeting, not the regular meeting?
Correct.
Okay, so it'll be June 16.
Thank you.
We'll also correct that when there's like.
Thank you.
I've got one more for you. On the June 14th meeting, it says trustee Chuck makes motion to accept application of Elliot Brown for opposition of town council. So. Yeah, I'm. Sign, come on, look at it.
We'll fix that.
I didn't think we wanted to be on.
That's a good check.
Yeah, right.
Okay, are there, now it's hotter, but you can probably hear me. Are there any other amendments or changes on the consent agenda, trustees? No, okay. So seeing none, I will entertain a motion to have them included in the packets. Samira?
I just wanted to say, if you guys make sure during that motion to include with the changes. Talked about, since that way we can get it fixed, and still get a sign.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the 3 suggested changes from the trustees to the meeting minutes.
There's a second,
I'll second that.
right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Foster, thank you, okay, motion carries. And for the June 16th special board meeting minutes and July 14th, 2026 meeting minutes with the amendments as requested. And then we have disbursements.
Those are all the consent agenda.
Yeah, those are part of the consent agenda. Okay, so next we're going to have our staff reports. And I believe we're beginning with Administrator Sun.
First, I wanted to just point out, there's a lot of information in there from Ms. Klusler. I didn't realize it was that big of a document. I thought she was just updating you on the recodification process. The work that she was doing was halted quite a while back, and she is just asking if the board wants to reinitiate the process. And I would have to first find out how far into it she is, whether there's additional costs. I know there's a DOLA grant out there that's helping pay for this, and we probably need to contact them to make sure that keep using it. So is that something you would like to consider in future agenda of re-engaging with her in the process?
Yes.
We would need to know what was left undone or what she proposes.
So that, I'm just asking general right now. I'm not asking you about
So you're asking if we would like us to have.
To be on the agenda.
Great, so you in the interim, you would research the details.
Yep.
Of what that would look like, what's been done and what the cost would be to complete the task.
Yeah.
And you had a question?
Yeah, so my 2 cents worth on that is that we've already received a grant, we've already put money, we were already well down this path. I would very much like to, I mean, I personally think we need the code rewrite completed. But I don't know how much more money that's gonna require, how much time, so yes, I would definitely be in favor of moving forward with getting more information from staff to inform the board.
And then my one point on that was simply that if you do move forward and asking her for a cost. Estimate that you ask for a red line of the code and not a side by side comparison.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the side by sides, they're hard to read. And it's, at least personally, it's easier for me to see somebody mark up a document.
Okay, thank you for that.
We finished the interviews for Public Works Director and have offered the position to someone. I'm not at liberty to say who yet because the person will have to notify their lawyer, that kind of stuff. So until we get past that and the background check and the drug testing, things we'll just have to do with new employees. I can't really say who it is, but we have offered the jobs.
Everybody accept?
Yes, tentatively, just like I gave a tentative offer.
Was that offered? I didn't.
Okay. And then we have a request to purchase some town property. There was a guy who came in and he found out when he inherited some property that it's encroaching onto a town-owned lot. By quite a bit. And it's a vacant lot and there's a lot of other vacant lots around it. And he's asking whether the town would be willing to sell him that lot. And knowing that we may also have a request in the near future to consider selling the Twin Lakes property, whether we do or not, I think it's good to have what the process is for selling town property, what the limitations are, how you would approach it, because it doesn't sound like this is gonna go away. There's other people who may ask the same question.
We currently don't have a process for this.
Well, there's one in law, but I just asked our attorney to look it up and write down what I can present to you. Want to thank Jordan Redden and Matt Lemminger for what they did last week with the tour of springs that we went to. It really helps a lot, at least from my perspective, to see what they really look like instead of just seeing a little round circle on the map. And realizing what they do, asking and discussing how they function and how they don't function, maybe, like especially the water that's creating like little sloughs and things like that. It really is helpful to do that, and hopefully we'll be able to arrange these to get to the other springs. But you don't realize till you start doing that how much or how long it takes to get to some of these things. That was a full day and we got to 4, I think. So there's a lot of time involved in this, but I really appreciate both of their efforts in driving, showing us around, and sharing their knowledge of what these are. Like with the one where we climbed the hill, I would never have known that they were up there. For the last few weeks in the department head meetings, we've been discussing how to manage the Smith Center and whether it should be managed by the town or whether we should continue to engage the Smith Center board. They're a nonprofit that has been managing it for a long time, and I just thought I'd ask you just generally, how would you prefer doing this? Should we continue to work with the Smith Center, with the board, or should the town take over how to handle this thing? Do you have any preferences?
What is staff's capacity to manage such things?
The staff kind of wanted to go with the Smith Center. So, there's been some issues in the past that I think we need to define in an agreement, because there's never been a written agreement. If that's gonna be, you're willing to go that direction.
Is the Smith Center board fully staffed at this point in time?
I honestly don't know.
Yes. I think we would need to understand the capacity of that board as well as what a formal agreement would look like to adequately answer that question. What I heard last I heard it was not fully staffed or meeting regularly. So it might just be about re-engaging them to have the conversation.
Yeah, because I heard they let their nonprofit status lapse. So they would probably want to get that back, although that really, I don't think that matters a lot to the relationship we would have with them. It would be more if they get donations and those kind of things that they would keep the taxes out.
It's my feeling, since it's town property, the town is responsible for it, so I think it'd be more up to us to just manage it. We need it's still got to see whether we would contract out the responsibility of that. So I think mostly the responsibility is on the town.
Yeah. I think the other consideration is really what the town and the community want to see that building become in the future. The committee previously, when it existed, its fullness had that nonprofit status, and it was a way to fundraise for specific improvements, or, you know, if there's we want to build we talked about building a climbing wall in there a couple months ago. So I think it's a broader conversation about both the committee and what their desire is if they want to reconstitute, and also what would be best given the town's sort of plans for that property and the community's expressed desires for that property. So it might warrant a work session.
Yeah, I think it's a big issue. One thing that I think is important is if we create fees for renting the facility, the fees probably should be for the operational costs and the capital costs, because we have a sales tax to be directed to capital costs. But the ongoing operational costs do affect our.
Yeah, there's a lot of consideration.
It was my understanding for the Smith's board was collecting some fees and spending some of that for cleaning and other things, but when it came to maintenance, they deferred to us, and they just sort of brought us the bill, and we had been paying utilities on that building. And of course, repairs, when it needed it, that was quite the big bill for the town, so. It's like having renters that, you know, are collecting from the sub leasees, and we're still responsible for the property at large. So, yeah, it was kind of a confusing relationship.
Okay.
Also, the town didn't always have access to that building if the committee members weren't available, which was a challenge.
Which is weird. When
And totally right when the town owns the building, yeah, so perhaps it's a discussion with them and then a work session for.
Because there also is the challenge where people have been using it for nothing for a long time. From project. So that's changed.
Which is why I think we need to solicit public engagement in more of an informal setting in terms of how folks wanna see that space used going forward, and improvements and current use and desired future use.
Wanted to bring up watering since the irrigation channels have shut down. our use of water has jumped up substantially. There's been a couple nights now where water flowing into the plant is not keeping up with the water that goes out during the night. It catches up again during the day, but we're using so much water at night that it's actually pulling down.
So that we can assume folks have switched from ditch irrigation water to town water irrigation. So that's something that perhaps, is there a way for us to let folks know about that high increase in use?
Well, we can let them know, but I think it would be good to also move to another stage of water use.
Yeah.
So.
And what did you find when you looked at that previously in terms of how we can help implement incentives and disincentives for water use and water savings?
Well, the easiest way to do disincentive is if you don't control it by saying no watering at night or something like that. It's through higher fees for using large quantities. And that would be more of a long-term solution rather than a short-term one. But we might want to limit watering quite a bit because there just isn't.
What's the state of our spring output? Is it slowing?
It's still keeping up, but as I said, there's been so much draw the last few nights that it's actually getting ahead of the springs.
Getting ahead of the springs production or ahead of the plant processing?
It's pretty much the same. The water just flows through.
Oh, you're talking about the plant, not the wastewater treatment plant.
No, it's the water tanks.
I misunderstood. Okay.
We had discussed a few meetings ago about tier assessment for first few 100,000 gallons at a certain rate, the next 10,000 gallons, increased rate or whatever. And we I've never heard anything more about it except the suggestion that we switch to a system like that. After a certain amount of usage, the rate goes up.
To me, that would be more proactive, that'd be a future solution. I don't know if we could do that.
Well,
But, limiting water use just for watering probably is a good thing right now. We've stopped watering the parks because we don't get the irrigation water now.
Are we concerned about the trees and their long-term viability if we completely stop watering the parks?
Most of them are big enough trees, they probably for a long time without a lot of watering.
I don't know if that's actually the case, but I think we should look at it. And Ms. Barker, you had a comment?
Well, I was gonna say we already have tiers for our water.
Oh.
Base tiered, I think 3,000, 10,000, and then up every 25 after that, it's higher rates per year.
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know.
No, and we had Walter, our trustee Chuck, we had discussed setting emergency tier rates in for the drought as a preliminary idea. I think my question for the board is, are we wanting to ask the administrator to look into that more seriously and other measures that we can implement to reduce water usage?
I was unaware that we had implemented the tier rate system, but I think for now, we could just somehow get the message to the public that we'd like them to further restrict the water usage because of the drought.
I think it likely won't be popular, but I think we definitely need to look at next level water restrictions at a minimum.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think we should think about sending out another text message and just reminding folks to limit watering.
You want to make it a rule or just encourage people to not use this much water?
I think we should think about increasing the restrictions, but it's probably not a bad idea to send out a reminder. I mean, maybe it's going to be 2 weeks before we can vote any kind of restrictions in. So in the meantime, hopefully curbing some of that with some public notice.
We could also conceivably add an emergency board meeting to the work session next week with the one agenda item of looking at potential water restrictions. if that's something that, if that would provide staff enough time to review and bring something to the board.
I think we can do that.
I think that's a good idea. Where's Chester? Right, trustee Foster.
I'm sorry.
Trustee Foster, do you have any comments on adding a special agenda item to the next work session?
No, I think that would be great. Jordan has his hand up as well.
Jordan?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that. So I believe that the Stewart Ditch water, I know it's still running a little bit, but kind of officially went off on Thursday, I believe. From Friday, we went from about 26.3 feet to about 22 feet over the weekend. So a foot of water in that tank is about 63,736, I believe. And we can see that significant dip that is happening, especially over the weekend, about 7 to 9 at night. And in my next public works report, I can put in the trend charts from the water plant with the storage tank, but it is significant. And I'm sorry, if you guys want to keep drinking water, lawns just have to go down.
So just a clarifying question, Jordan, it's not that the folks are running, or at least based on the patterns that we're seeing, it doesn't appear that folks are running their sprinklers all night. They're running it for a couple hours in the evening, but that alone is tapping too much of our supply.
Yeah, so when I look about it, I get a daily supply of what we generally produce. It's gone down significantly. We used to be doing, 250,000 gallons. We're doing about 197,000 gallons, and we are not keeping up. So the tank is continuing to lower. We're still monitoring. We still have a little bit of leeway where we're able to turn a little bit more water down. But we want to make sure all the shareholders in that water are also happy. So we don't want to go to like a atomic option where we just have to shut them off and say sorry to them, because everybody else has viability in this as well. But yes, if it could just be more aware that, like, let's quit using so much water. We are actively checking for leaks in the system. We're actively checking meters that have more usage than is historical. I think that we've probably found a few. Some could be leaks, but some could also just be users that don't think that they're using as much. And just as that a reminder is, if you think that watering like 8 hours a day isn't very much, it's very significant.
Hey, Jordan, I want to bring up a point here real quick discussing this. How many water companies does the town of Paonia supply water to outside of town? I'm not sure if everybody on the boards or the board or the community knows that we supply quite a few water companies with the water from our plant.
Great clarifying point, Rodney.
I want to say 28. If somebody can correct me, I believe it's 28.
So somewhere around 28 water companies that are springs in our plant provide water to up on the mesas and outside of town. And when you said that comment about making shareholders happy, if we get to the point of really bad water supply and we have to shut shareholders off, that is what he's talking about, is we shut down the master meter for outside of town water companies that affect a lot of people. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that, how many people outside of the town depend on our plant.
Yeah. Thank you, and I think we'll talk about this again in the Public Works report, but it's good to get clarification. What I heard the administrator say in his report was that we really saw this change when the irrigation ditches shut off, so we can safely assume that this is draw from irrigation. And we would not necessarily qualify that as an essential use at this point. So thank you for that clarification. Administrator Sun, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Got one on the water, if we're talking about water use restrictions and notifying the town of people, to pull back. It might be prudent to just send a reminder brochure or pamphlet or something on efficient water usage. There's attachments you can get for your showers that reduce the gallons per hour. You don't need a full stream to wash your hands. Turn it off while you're brushing. A lot of little habit things that even I catch myself doing. I was like, whoa, I don't need that much water to wash my hands just yesterday. So I don't know if there's a good dissemination model, but just putting conservation to the forefront in addition to the main.
So are we asking staff to send out a notice in the interim to reduce water usage and tips for water usage? Is that what we're asking? Sounds like it. Okay, and for an agenda item to be added next week that we would actually vote on.
I have a question. How do our town water restrictions, do they apply to the water companies that we supply?
Yes, Ms. Lockren.
Yes, they do. They, basically anyone who uses KMU water in any form or shape is required to follow all of our regulations while they're using water.
And do we have a way of notifying all of the water company boards of these water restrictions as well, and asking them to disseminate this information to their users?
We have some contact information. It's not fabulous. That's one of the side projects I've been working on right now, is getting the rest of that contact information. I do tend to put water saving tips on the bills themselves, which the consecutive water companies do get, and very often they will come in and ask for the flyers as soon as we put out any restriction.
Great, thank you.
Sir, are you requesting that staff make sure to translate those tips and restrictions to the companies at this point in time?
I'm sorry, are you asking me if I'm?
Yeah, are you clarifying, were you just asking her if she did those things, or are you asking staff to do those things?
Well, I don't want to unilaterally direct staff, but I think, I think the communication should be made with the water companies as well. And just, but I understand there's also some barriers to our records in that arena.
And I appreciate your clarification. This is an administrator report and we're directing these questions to the administrator. All right, is there anything else on the water side of Mr. Sun's report?
So later in the meeting, you have to set an agenda or set a special fee.
Yeah, that's for the 18th. Just discuss this.
We need to make a motion on that.
Yeah, you could just make a motion for this meeting and instead it's set, I don't have to pull you guys later.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Is it appropriate for me to do that at the beginning, to entertain a motion at the beginning of actions and presentations? Thank you, Trustee Chen.
That's all I.
All right, thank you, Administrator Sun. Next up, we have a report from our police department. I believe Mr. Henderson is here.
Yeah, copy of that. We had two events in July, right at the Cherry Days, BMW rally. Were well attended. Minimal issues that we found. We also attended the wildlife preparedness presentation for investigators. While we're not openly invited to it, we decided it would be best for our guys to at least attend that we're on duty. We implore everybody to, if they did attend, to prepare and plan for any type of fire event that we could have. Obviously, it's been a kind of a crazy season with that. Our department didn't have as many calls for services last month, but we did spend a considerable amount of time on like social media cases, the storage unit burglaries that we've been having all out around the county, high-end bicycle thefts, which we did get a warrant for that gentleman with stealing bikes. We partnered with CDPAG to get our Narcan for us because ours had expired. It's best to have that safeguard for any instances of opioid issues. Pretty much that was us.
Are there any questions on the report in the agenda or in the packet? All right, thank you. Then the last report, although we started to get into it a little bit, is from Public Works. Is that, Ronnie, are you giving that tonight?
Yeah, so Jordan and I are gonna be doing that together.
Okay.
Start doing the water and wastewater section and all the other divisions within Public Works.
Thank you, please go ahead.
All right, since mine is on top, we did our annual backflow testing. This is generally where we bring out backflow testers. We're hoping to streamline this process in the future where businesses actually contact them themselves. But when they come out in a single day, it actually brings the cost down pretty significantly from like $160 down to $70. Because they're able to reach so many people. There is people with backflows I was unable to touch base with, but we got about 30 done, and there is some that already do themselves. So if you have a backflow and it needs to be tested, let's get that done before October so that our water system can stay in compliance. And again, this is annual. I know I've talked with some people that were like, well, that was done last year. But it's every year. Like, let's make sure that our water system is safe. We did pull a pump at the water treatment plant that didn't seem to be working right. I'm not sure if you want me to talk about the debris that we found in it. But I will if you guys are curious.
Didn't you show it to us already?
I mean, this is super.
Oh, basically.
We trust you.
We trust you, we don't need to know, it's a long meeting.
Okay. Something took a long water slide down the pipeline and clogged up our pump. So we got that out pretty easy. We thought we were going to have to go to one of our redundancy pumps. But actually we were able to have it back in service in about 30 minutes. The hardest part is kind of picking those pumps up. It does take at least 2 people. They're pretty heavy, but anyway, and then our Reolink cameras are up and functional and running. So there is protection at our water and wastewater plant.
Thank you.
In wastewater, there was really nothing of note. I really hope that the last statement kind of helped everybody out from what not to flush. But our aerator's still running and has not been clogged up by, maybe we call them bed sheets. But there, I'll turn it over to Rodney.
So Public Works got some of our target projects completed since the last Public Works report. The main projects for streets on these top pictures was the installation of the proposed thermal crosswalk markings. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have all seen them. They're in front of the Real Bravo restaurant. The prior director, when Nikki was here, she wanted to get enough material to install one full crosswalk. That's what was purchased. We got it installed. It's supposed to last 15 to 20 years. That is the kind of the selling factor on that, because we were painting those crosswalks twice a year. And specifically at this location, the west side of the crosswalk where people had taken a right turn on the ground, it didn't even last 7 days. The paint would be gone. So we're having pretty good results with that. It's still looking great. It's holding up. And so that was a big one for us. Next up, we on this ditch, it's directly behind Town Hall. Somebody had cleared the vegetation, the weeds, the overgrown stuff there, and we noticed that it presented a hazard to the public. And that canal was completely wide open, so I decided that we should, for a safety concern, put a guardrail up there for pedestrian safety to also bring attention, there's a hazard there. So that was built, constructed and installed. If we could move down the list, this is some of the big tree projects that were done this year, or not this year, since the last meeting up there on Minnesota Avenue. That was a citizen work request. In order to drive on that road, you have to be in oncoming traffic to use the road. So that overgrown tree made it a one-lane roadway there. So Public Works crew removed that tree. And a little further down, this was a project that has actually been talked about for a while. This is across the street from the NIPSA school. We had a resident of the community reach out to me, and I've met with them and looked at it. There's that third picture. You could see that's what we call a hanger, and broken branches that are sitting freely in the tree. It's so we had it trimmed. Because it's outside of the capabilities of Public Works, it was contracted out. My big concern is with school starting soon and the amount of kids that walk underneath that tree and adults and all of that. It's kind of a big safety hazard to have those big diameter branches just sitting up there that could fall at any moment. And if we could keep moving down, we had, this is where the Parks Department, with a mixture of those monsoons that we were getting in the evening and some improved maintenance at the park, we really started to get the parks looking a lot better. It was a big item this year to get that department organized and cleaned up. The picture of the park shed, there's been stuff stored in there that's been in there for a really long time. We started going through it, opening that shed up for storage, and that is the completed project there. The interim town administrator touched on that, the Public Works Director interview, so I'll leave that one alone. I did have 2 updates that are not on the report. I asked Sam if this would be appropriate. They happened today. We did have 2 employees pass their CDL permit test today, which is greatly against all Public Works, and pretty happy about it. And second, the Bears issue. I have reached out to the town of Crested Butte because a DOW officer said that there's a possible source for bear-proof trash cans that we might be able to get for free. Apparently, the town purchased a large inventory of these bear-proof cans that aren't compatible with their truck, so they're sitting in storage and not being used. I haven't heard anything back yet, and the trash crew that speaks with the residents about the bear issues, because it's obviously a hot topic. We've given suggestions using, a gun lock, yeah, ratchet straps, bungees, rope, chain, they told residents they could put a hole in the can and they could even lock it up. So Public Works is aware of the big bear issue, and for the people that reach out, we're helping them come up with solutions to keep bears out of their can. So I just hope the community knows that we want a solution as well, and we've been working on trying to solve that with people as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And I would just respond to that by saying, we've been in conversations also with California, Colorado, Parks and Wildlife on potential ordinances and short-term measures to support bear proofing the trash cans and increasing community education. So we will be announcing soon a public event to support awareness, and we'd love to work with your department to make sure that you guys are there to show help. And we're looking into getting some additional ways to secure it, and been speaking with the police about how best to do that and what short-term measures work better than others. So it's definitely something we're all thinking about. Thank you for bringing it up tonight. Okay. Does that conclude the Public Works? Oh, excuse me, Trustee Foster, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. The trash cans that were purchased and we could potentially acquire for free, are those cans that would be distributed to individual households, or are those like the dumpsters for in the park?
So a lot more information is needed. It's gonna depend on the inventories as available and what we're able to take with. In my mind, if there is an inventory large enough that we can issue those to the entire community, that would be great. However, I don't know if, like, how the resources.
Like, we don't know what the resource might be.
Okay. And then just in the meantime, I know that there was some discussion of potentially using the gun locks that the police department has to secure trash cans. Could we potentially use some of those to secure the dumpsters in the town park?
So we actually spoke about that today, and we're absolutely ready for that. We would need a little insight from Sergeant here. They're in that department's possession, but what are your thoughts on being able to roll that out?
Since you're so nice about it, I think we should probably them to speak. No, we have plenty, and I think that's something that we could give to the front counter as well, a box. To disseminate to people that come in. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's a pretty well universal key for everybody to be able to open it.
Okay, so we're not gonna worry about Public Works not gonna be able to get in.
They'll have to keep.
Okay.
It'll be fine. Everybody remembers to remove it. But yeah, I think that would be, in the meantime, it's a good solution. I just will try. I mean, they're not high-end gun box, but at the end of the day, it'll work.
Okay, great. And I'm gonna add some more things at the end when we get to the trustee reports, but for now, I'm gonna keep us moving unless there's anything else on Public Works. Okay. Yes, so now we're going to move to our actions and presentation section of the agenda. And I'd like to entertain a motion for a special meeting to address water restrictions.
I'd like to make a motion to add a special board meeting to our work session on Tuesday, August 18th. At the beginning of the work session for a single agenda item to review and possibly take action on the next phase of water restrictions.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Giving that, we're gonna move on to our next agenda item. And just to remind everybody and myself, we're going to bring up the item. I'm gonna ask staff to report on it. We'll have a trustee discussion, then there will be time for public comment. If the trustees wish to discuss again, we can discuss again, and then we would entertain motions to vote. So just how this portion goes. Then first on this list is the consideration of appointing a mayor to a vacant seat on the Board of Trustees. Who will be presenting on this from staff? Better.
So, as you see, there was a single applicant for office of mayor. The current mayor pro tem Fisher could not be here tonight for good reasons. So now it's up to you guys whether you want to, whether you want to appoint or if you want to go to election. It's only for a 2-year term.
And then what is the cost associated with hosting an election?
If we do want, it depends on whether we'd be able to jump into the November one or not, but it'll be a couple of $1,000 at least. And that would really depend on timelines. There's certain timelines you have to do with candidate nominations and making sure to open it up. The seat is going to be on the next municipal election in April 2028. So I mean, if you can appoint somebody, that's probably the best way to go, but ultimately it's up to you. The 3 sub items that are on there, I just put in there in the interest of saving time, just in case you did appoint Mayor Pro Tem Fisher, then we can actually get moving on finding another trustee and taking care of some housekeeping items that would need to be done. But ultimately, it's up to you. But those are your 2 decisions, pretty much, whether you should accept the appointment or whether you guys want to go to special or go to election on it, and then I'd have to back to you to give you exact timelines on whether or not it could go in the next election or.
Is there discussion from the trustees?
Just a point of clarification, this, whoever, if we were to appoint someone, their appointment will run out at the end of the next election?
Yes, whenever you appoint somebody to a seat, regardless of when the term ends, their term will always end at the next regular municipal election. In this case, this seat was already going to be on the ballot for 2028, so this would just be somebody finishing the existing term, because that's when the next regular municipal election is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Discussion, yes.
My comment would be that we've advertised the opening, we had one interested applicant, I would definitely be towards pointing.
Sheree Fisher. Are there other comments?
I will move to appoint Sheree
So
Fisher.
sorry, we have to.
Oh.
First. Any other trustee comments? Okay, I'd like to open this up for public comment. If you have a desire to speak on this, please raise your hand. I'll call on you and you'll come up, state your name. If you live in town, you have 3 minutes to speak on this topic. Is it 3 or 2? 3. Okay, so we're now open for public comment on this agenda item. If there's anyone who would like to speak on it? Okay, going once. All right. Seeing no public comment on this item, I'm going to turn it back to the trustees. Any other questions or discussions before I entertain this motion? Okay, please proceed.
I move that we nominate Sheree Fisher to mayor.
I second.
All right, I think we're going to give that second to trustee Foster by
millisecond. That's who I heard. That's who I heard.
All in favor of the appointment of our single applicant, current pro tem Sheree Fisher to mayor for the remainder of the term, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Person, but I really look forward to working with Sheree Fisher.
We'll schedule for swearing in on this.
Sorry. Okay, so then moving on, thank you, Clerk Better. The second part of this is we are going to consider approving resolution 1726 declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees.
Yes, sorry, we need, since you appointed Mayor Fisher, we need to do the
Pro tem first.
pro tem and stuff like that.
My mistake. I jumped over A and went straight to Okay, excuse me, everybody, first need to consider appointing a mayor pro tem because this person is responsible for being a second signatory on financial items for the town. So I'd like to open this up, for the appointment of a mayor pro tem. Nobody jump out of their seats. Just to clear better.
If I can add to it, you do not lose your voting, right? You could still get to vote, you still get to be a part of a quorum. And if anything, we just saw how important it is to have a mayor pro tem. So it can be a big job, but it can also not be a big job. We have mayors who never miss, and then we have stuff that happens sometimes, so. And it needs to, sometimes staff's gonna call you in if the mayor's not available, because there's something important to take from them. So I just keep that in mind too. Normally it's gonna be scheduled, but not always, but pretty important.
Are there any trustee comments or discussions?
I would just ask if there are any trustees that are willing to serve as Frank Upton. You trustee Brown.
Trustee Donald Foster, I think could you speak to your interest in this position or lack of interest?
I don't think I'm interested at this point in time, maybe in the future, but I have a lot on my plate just coming into this position. It'd be appropriate for me quite the moment.
You, Trustee Foster?
I'm not, like you said, jumping at the role, but I would be willing to serve. I still feel like I'm learning the process and the rules. But yeah, I would ask if Trustee Hunter would be interested since she has more experience than the others of us.
Thank you for asking. I'm not interested at all.
If it helps, any trustee Ostrander can tell you about that would be nice, scripts. The staff won't let you guys flounder while you're learning.
I would like to ask you personally, if you'd be interested in being mayor pro tem.
Wow, I thought you'd never asked.
Yeah.
So one thing that's been drilled into me is the importance of physical presence for both the mayor and mayor pro tem, because sometimes that signature is needed and I do travel fairly frequently for work. So
I can't share from Zoom.
And I can't share from Zoom. So that is why I at this point in time don't feel like it would be responsible for me, but I really appreciate this. Any other discussions?
So it sounds like we have one candidate.
We have one willing candidate, and I would like all the public to take note, this is an active public service. We are all serving each other. And we're gonna have an appointment that we're gonna open up here soon too for a new trustee, so we're all learning in this together. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight, and thank you, Trustee Foster, for being willing to step in so early in your trustee career to the role of mayor pro tem. I would like to entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Trustee Foster as mayor pro tem, and I also would like to give my thanks for her being willing to do so.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor of appointing Trustee Foster to role of mayor pro tem, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next item, which is the the declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees. Approving resolution 1726. Are there any additional staff presenting to us?
Just the motion, since I left names blank. Just need to make sure that whoever does the motion is that we're adding, Mayor Pro Tem Fisher's resignation and, the appointment of, Trustee Foster. So I just need those names in there. I can fill in the rest, but I just need you guys to fill in the verbal one.
Okay. Is there any board or of trustee discussion on the opening up of this seat? Approving resolution 1726 declaring a vacancy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have this too. I believe that this is actually a 2-week
declaration too, just so we can hopefully get a full board back. So we should probably make that clear so everybody's aware, so I'll need it by. The dates.
Okay, so, I'm going to entertain a motion for the approval of resolution 1726 declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees. It's 1726.
Clerk, better, can we get clarification on the resolution number? Oh, I'm looking at signatures.
I think-
Six.
Yeah, I think she was speaking, Clerk Better was speaking to 1826, and what I'm looking for is a motion to support 1726.
No, I still need the names. on
Yeah.
both. Yes.
Okay,
I move to approve resolution 17-26, declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees due to the resignation of trustee Fisher, now that she will become Mayor Fisher.
and
That was all I need. Yeah, there's two lines, that was it.
yeah, Foster.
And
She needs Foster.
no, not on this one, because this is just declaring the vacancy. Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm done with my motions.
Are you sure you don't want to be Foster?
That's perfect.
All right, all in favor of resolution 1726 declaring the vacancy? Great, no opposed, motion passes. All right, now we need to do consideration of approval of resolution 1826, authorized signatories. Any discussion or further staff presentation? Entertain a motion.
Skip to. I don't mind, but does anybody else want to do a motion?
I make a motion to authorize trustee Foster to sign for to execute signatures for the mayor pro tem.
Is that sufficient for better as a motion?
I need a motion that names Sheree Fisher as mayor and Annalee Foster as mayor pro tem, please. This goes to the bank, so they gotta have words spelled out.
I'd like to entertain a motion for 1826 that includes the language of trustee Foster moving to mayor pro tem and mayor pro tem Fisher, excuse me, not Fisher, mayor pro tem Sheree Fisher moving to mayor.
Moving resolution.
Yes, 1826. Anybody?
I move to approve resolution 18-26 as Sheree Fisher was appointed mayor and Annalee Foster was appointed mayor pro tem.
Second on this motion.
I'll second it.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Is trustee Foster about the governance?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we are going to move on now to consideration of approval of resolution 1526 data center moratorium. Is there any staff presentation on this? I will just say that I asked Administrator Sund to look into this. And he's put together this draft resolution for our consideration tonight. Mr. Sund, is there anything else you'd like to add in addition to what's already here?
I did revise it just slightly this morning after the meeting. Comment was that under the now therefore be that resolved clause, it didn't mention what limitations we were going to do on not accepting permits. So I just added the words regarding circumstances.
Right.
It could have been read as we weren't taking applications for anything.
All right, before I move to open this up to public comment, are there any comments or questions from the trustees?
I would just like to say, I think this is very prudent. I think we're seeing the impacts of these data centers across the country and particularly with our water situation, we need to be very aware of these types of things. And I know Delta County has a moratorium in place that's similar, and we should certainly develop our own robust regulations to address this type of development coming in.
Let me see, I would just. The now therefore be it resolved still reads to me, even though the clarification was not added in the last bullet. It still looks to me like there's a moratorium on any review of special use permits, conditional use permits, zoning map amendments, or building permits. To me, that's still how it reads. I agree with trustee or Mayor Pro Tem Foster that this is relevant and necessary, and it's definitely something we should be doing. But I do think that there's a couple things that I would like maybe reworded or restated as which.
Would you like to provide specific language?
I could do that. Do you want me to do it on the fly? Are we looking at doing it tonight, or is this something we want to workshop at our work session next week?
It was my hope we could do it tonight. It does give us a year to actually come up with an ordinance.
Okay.
But for expediency's sake, it would be great if it's possible for you to recommend a change in language.
If anybody else has comments, I can.
Sure, I'll just say that this was important, speaking to water policy, for us to look at broader ways in which the town could be impacted by water use and development. And we hope to be looking at not just within the town, but within our 2-mile radius around our town and our watershed, and how to protect our water if this resolution passes. It's a moratorium only for a year and directs the town staff to come up with what an actual ordinance would be. So this would be beginning a process to to have a more formal ongoing law in place. So yes.
What I was gonna say, I didn't understand, I guess the misunderstanding, because it seems fairly clear in paragraph section 1. That this is not in police centers for the following approvals. And so it is just for data centers, for special use permits, conditional use permits, and zoning amendment permits. So
Actually, it's important. It says regarding data centers falls right before these.
This is the old version before administrator signed the revised.
No, it didn't say regarding data centers.
Okay, good. And now I'm confused because this is the one I have from the packet, and this is the one I have from the administrators. They're different.
the one we got from, it's not.
These were wrong.
One that's not.
So there was some incident. He cleared up this cache.
I changed it after the department head meeting, so.
Okay. And this version that we have in front of us is the one that the attorneys reviewed?
Yes. I don't know if anyone else heard the news this morning, but NVIDIA is seeking $500 billion to build data centers.
They did that.
I have a question for interim administrator Sun, and I think I know the answer to this, but just want to be clear. I know that there have been a few other local governments that have put a year-long moratorium in place, similar to what we're doing. Has there been any instances or whispers of preemption being challenging those local control measures?
This is something I think we can do under current code. It says in the second whereas clause that we can do it under 29, 20, and 1.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. You want more time, I can open that for public comment.
Okay, I think I have it. So I think the main source of confusion has been addressed, so that's not a big issue to me. The rest are much less important. But at the end, under section 3, so this is a 1-year moratorium, and then the last bullet in section 3 goes on to talk about months 12 through 17.
Yes, it's a little more than that. It just goes to the end of next year.
Oh, yeah, July 26th.
Yeah, and then we need to
December 31st, 2027.
finish the days. So is it the intention of this resolution to go beyond that? We do want to consider months 12 through 17 in this?
Yeah, I think that the intention is to do that.
And then, so again, in that last bullet under section 3, it's just a Scrivener's error, but I would say planning board should be planning commission. And then my question would be, don't both the planning commission and the board of trustees hold the public hearings? I know it's minutia, but if we're gonna do a resolution, I feel like we should get it right.
So you're saying eliminate this?
I just want to make sure that we have it worded correctly for the intention behind it. So the planning commission will provide a recommendation to the board of trustees in months 12 through 17. And then would it or would it not be true, either interim administrator or town clerk, that both the planning commission and the board of trustees would hold the necessary public hearings?
Once it's recommended to the board of trustees, then
Okay.
you would have to do it. They-
And does that recommendation happen in a hearing at the planning commission level?
Yeah, they would take up this issue prior to that.
At a public hearing before the planning commission, okay. Okay, so my only recommended changes would be to section 3, the last bullet point. To read months 12 through 17, the planning commission will provide a recommendation to the board of trustees after the planning commission hearing. The board of trustees will hold the necessary public hearings to consider and shall adopt an ordinance addressing data centers. And then in section 4, it rechanged the effective date. We passed it today, right?
Okay, so before we do a motion, before I entertain a motion on this, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Oh, sorry, excuse me, just a minute. Ms. Cochran,
I would like to comment as.
you'd like to comment as the public. Okay, then this Bill, whenever you would come up to, you raise your hand. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and if you live in town.
Yes, my name is Bill Grover. My comment is, why are you limiting this to the corporate area of Paonia? Why aren't you including the water system? Because that would be the impact.
Thank you. And then Ms. Cochran is a member of the public.
I'm in Cochran, I live in town. I would like to preface this with, though I am a town employee, this is not the town's opinion, this is my personal opinion. I love this to start with. I don't know how much y'all know about me, but I have a PhD that really focuses on environmental justice, medical justice, and digital justice. And I think this is half of what has to happen, in my opinion. This reminds me of NIMBY, not in my backyard, where people are willing to take the fruits of whatever the environmental destruction is, but refuse to hold the environmental destruction themselves in their own community. So like Standing Rock and the gas lines, mining for uranium on the Navajo Nation. So I do think if the town board chooses to adopt this, they also need to simultaneously adopt something that limits the use of AI by the government, that the government cannot use AI because it is because of AI that these data centers are being created. The two have come up together, they are intrinsically linked, And to say we refuse to have data centers, but oh, we must produce the data centers, it seems disingenuous and unkind, because those almost always fall on communities of color, poor communities, indigenous communities, and rural communities. And by opting out of half, but not the whole thing, I think it's mildly unjust.
Jamie Park, I live just outside of town, and I just want to, I think both Bill and you made some good points, but I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being proactive on this and having the foresight. And I don't know a lot about data centers, but what I do know, we don't want them anywhere around here. And so I just appreciate you taking action now through the board and the administrator to deal with them, but I hear what Bill is saying, and he's got an excellent point, but what I don't know is whether you have the authority to limit beyond the town limits and that type of thing. If you do, great, let's go for it. But I understand that might be a constraint, but I just wanted to thank you for having the foresight to get something in place.
Thank you so much.
Mary Backer, also town citizen. I agree completely, we need to do something about the data centers. Now, as for jurisdiction to do it within the water system, we have an IGA that's coming up with the county that needs to be reviewed. And this would be a good time to include that in the IGA with the county. That would then give us some kind of enforcement ability within our water system, in my opinion.
Any more public comment? Yes, please.
Susanna Watson, I live in town. So I suppose you can restrict how water gets used. It's our water system. But I do want to point out the last board put it to the voters. I don't think the voters realized what they were voting on, but public noticing, for instance, we don't have to publish anything anymore in the papers. Everything's online. And I don't know much about data centers, but doesn't it have to do with our online usage? When I heard this topic might come up, for instance, with public notice, what better way is there to have it in newspapers when we do noticing? We have a free newspaper in this town, it's called the High Country Spotlight. You know, people pick up that newspaper and they might not be searching for something, but they might just by chance see that we have this important topic coming up before us. So I would encourage the trustees to start looking at, you don't have to, but I think when you do noticing, it might be really transparent if you started using other venues rather than just the internet. Because the internet, again, it's a little bit disingenuous that you want to use it for some things, but then you want to restrict it to the data centers.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this agenda item? Yes.
Michael Short out of town. You mentioned that Delta County is looking into this. Is that what I need a little clarification. Delta County is looking into restricting data centers. Maybe I misunderstood because it's difficult to hear. But it might be worth checking with Delta County, the county department, and see if they have something on their books that they're talking about, and we can piggyback onto them and use their authority because we are part of Delta County. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want.
They have a moratorium until January 7th, 2027. Quick search.
So they don't have anything until then, or it is
a
for them
moratorium until then.
Yeah.
So the same thing we're trying to do. Just
Yeah.
Can I
promulgate-
comment on that? So similar to what we're doing, they've introduced a moratorium in order to develop regulations. I think it's important that we coordinate with them, and also we are looking at developing our own set of regulations that could potentially be more stringent. than what the county decides to go with.
Any other public comment on this agenda item? Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to any further discussion or comments from the trustees.
Yeah, I appreciate what, Bachman said about the second part of this, but in the interest of expediency, I think we ought to take that up at our work session, the second part, and go ahead and pass this resolution tonight with a date change.
Just we talked about
I guess I,
it. Would you be so kind as to write that in the version?
would you? But I see, because it wasn't clear to me whether you're just saying that we shouldn't use AI, period, or.
So a discussion of use of AI
Yes.
by
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
Offices. And we can discuss it probably.
Right.
At that time. There's a lot of things to discuss.
Just for clarity, your next work session is already.
So, and a future work session. This is why it's a parking lot.
I just didn't want you guys to expect it and look at it and then, well.
We're gonna keep, and so sorry, and you were saying,
No, I just wanted to separate it so we could pass this tonight as it's tonight with the clarification of the dates.
Trustee Foster, were you trying to add something? Sure. Oh,
Jordan has his hand up.
thank you, Jordan.
I'm just kind of curious, I guess I'm a little bit behind on this new technology. Is the data centers just for AI?
No, but AI is the single largest use of data centers, and it's what's pushing the growth of data centers.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted some clarification. I don't use AI. I've never used it. It seems a little foreign to me. It seems a little bit of like we're taking away the ability of the people to govern themselves. That was my only question. Thank you.
Okay, for all people who want to discuss AI and its use, please keep an eye out for a future work session agenda. Getting to it now. I would like to entertain a motion if there's no more comments.
I just have a question. Do any of the trustees take any issue with my recommended changes?
Please remind us what they are.
I'm happy to make the motion and include those, that's why I'm asking it.
Okay. I move to approve resolution 15-26, a resolution imposing a temporary moratorium on development approvals for data centers and high impact facilities in Paonia with the following changes. Section 3, last bullet point, months 12 through 17 to read. The Planning Commission will provide a recommendation to the Board of Trustees after Planning Commission public hearing, period. The Board of Trustees will hold the necessary public hearings to consider and shall adopt an ordinance addressing data centers. That is the first change. Second change under section 4, with the effective date being today, August 11th, should this resolution pass.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. I would also just like to say we will be dealing with the water things that's brought up. Thank you guys for the water system. Okay, next on our agenda, moving along here. We have consideration of approval of resolution 1626, waiving certain sewer tap fees. There was a discussion of this in our last work session, thanks to Administrator Sun. Are there any background you want to provide at this point, Administrator Sun, on this resolution?
We didn't answer the questions, but I think I talked about the issue and why I recommend waiving fees for, and suggested last meeting, limited amount of time instead of just.
So are there any trustee questions at this point in time? I'm gonna open up this to the public. Are there any public comment on the resolution 1626 resolution of town of Paonia waiving sewer tap fees for certain properties in town that have septic systems wherein the town wants to incentivize them to connect to the town sewer system. Yes, oh,
Paul Armour, I live in town. I just wanted to say I appreciate your consideration of this, and I think it would help me make a decision to connect to the sewer. When they built my subdivision, they didn't do it, so this would be a great way to do that, and I'm excited to move on with the project that I'm working on, and I thank you all for that, and I just support this.
thank you. Thanks for letting us know. Okay, next, Penny, please.
Saying, I really appreciate that
I'm sorry, would you say your name and if you live in town for the record?
Penny Sutton,
You live in town?
what?
Do you live in town?
Yes, you know where I live. We're neighbors. But I'm very appreciative of your consideration to waive the fee. Actually, I didn't know that this was on your agenda. I just found out at the end of last week that my own septic tank has failed. And I had my tanks pumped because there was some leakage, and the man that did it from Delta, from Budget Ruger, he said, "I've bought you some time by pumping it, but you thought I'd hook onto the septic system, the sewer system." And so I called the town office, and somebody in the office suggested you should come to the meeting, so I came last Tuesday, here I am this time. And I just am saying, I'm really appreciative of the consideration for this, for people to do this, and it would really help me a lot. And I imagine I speak for quite a few other people, because it's not only the tap fee, it's the installation of the whole thing. And it would be wonderful, and I just am encouraging you to support that for our sake. So yes, that's all I need to say, but I just really appreciate that you're considering it. Thank you.
Are there any public comments, other public comments on this item? Yes.
Old brother, I live in town. The hardest thing in the world is to look at somebody and say, no, you can't have a special deal. I think, should you waive these fees? I don't know, that's up to you. But I ask you not to shoot from the hip on this. I ask you to educate yourself on past practice. What's happened before when the town has discovered someone's not hooked up to the sewer system. I can give you several examples. One, not too long ago, where the town actually forced someone to annex after writing the state and asking the state to prohibit them from having a septic system, to force them to move into town, so they had to buy a tap. And that went through. Another guy, a friend of mine just outside of town, his sewer system failed. He had to hook up. Amber Kleinman's house, before she owned town, discovered they'd been paying the monthly fee for years, but they didn't have a tap. There's no question, they had to buy the tap. You're making at least $100,000 decision here. There's a lot of these cases. And so it's like, if you're gonna do that, then why don't you forgive my sewer fees for the next $4,000? Fair question. I think there's other things you could consider. I think you could defer payment on the tap fee being, I think, a minor portion of the expense of hooking up. It could be deferred until the property is sold or whatever. There's a lot of things you could do. So there's some basic fairness there. The other thing is, you're making a decision here, a policy decision on the forgiveness of, or to ignore state and town ordinances and state statutes. There's, if you want incentive to hook up, you got a town ordinance that says you've got to be hooked up to the sewer if you live in town. State of Colorado says if you live within 400 feet of a sewer line, you got to hook up to it. Okay. What's gonna happen when you finally deal with the dozen or more ADUs that have been established during the moratorium? Or the who knows how many that were established before that, and who knows how many like that out of town? It's the same kind of policy consideration. And like I say, I ask you not to shoot from the hip on this, but to consider, find out what's going on in the past. Because it's a policy decision, and it's not just up to how you feel about it today. Thank you.
So now.
Suzanne Watson. I'd like to point out that in our sewer system, we have in-town and out-of-town users. Because we have out-of-town users, we have to set rates and fees by ordinance, not by resolution. It's required by the state. And supposedly it gives the out-of-town people kind of some due process. They're notified. I believe we've had to notify them by mail in the past about rate changes, and it's also put in the paper. So if they want to come in and comment, they're able to. So waiving hookup fees is a cost to the system. You know, everybody's bearing some of that cost. So I would encourage you, instead of doing this by a resolution, I think it might be wise to avoid challenges in the future, to do it through an ordinance. And I don't know if this is something that requires an attorney review, but the statute specifically that I'm thinking of and referring to is 3135-701. There's also 407, but I think 3135-701 is the one that's probably the most relevant here. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this agenda item? Yes.
Listen, Munoz, and I don't do it in town. I just wanted to know if there's been a cost analysis done on how many properties we're talking about, and if it could be very transparent where the money's coming from to for it. Then discuss.
Are there other comments from the public on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to turn it back to trustee discussion. We did host a work session on this last week too. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. Is Jordan a member of the public or a town in this case?
Depends on how he's choosing to speak, I guess.
Jordan, can you clarify if you're speaking as a member of the public or on behalf of your position at Public Works?
I am behalf of the position of Public Works.
Okay, then let me close the public comment session and then move back to town staff and trustee discussion on this agenda item.
Okay, fully understand.
Okay, great, thank you. So Jordan, go ahead and give us your comments.
So it's an interesting situation from what I understand. A lot of these properties were able to be annexed under the fact that they had septic system. That being said, it could have been like 50 years ago when the septic systems were new. Now they're not new. So that's the point where it's strange. The only out of town sewer system that I am aware of is Hidden Valley HOA. That's a completely different agreement where they were able to tie in. It's a strange situation where we're in, but if you are within 400 feet, I do believe you are supposed to tie in to the town sewer system. I know this is open for a lot more public discussion, but specifically the few that I'm speaking of, which seem about the same area, I think they have been paying sewer tap fees. So depending on the time they've been paying those sewer tap fees, it seems completely reasonable that they should be able to tie into the sewer.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm gonna start by asking the administrator to clarify what fee we're talking about here.
Fee that we're talking about is the tap fee itself. And we estimate there's probably between 15 and 20 houses that would connect. And even though this is in ordinance to connect with when you're within 400 feet, these are properties that have been on septic systems for at least 50 years. And it has never been enforced before. And now there's a benefit to the town to get them connected, because they will start paying regular sewer fees that everyone else pays once they're connected. So we will recoup costs.
I see. And is there, I just want to clarify for myself here, this consideration of statute 3135-701. Do we have a legal consideration that we need to look at here?
I had our attorney look at the resolution.
Could I ask the attorney to respond to that? Clay, would you be so kind as to respond to this question on if we're running afoul of any statutes here?
Yeah, can you be more specific? I apologize.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's any legal consideration we may have missed with this. Are we going to be, as the town, running afoul legally of any state or county requirements by doing this?
Give them the number.
So for the moratorium?
We are speaking about the resolution 1626, waiving certain sewer tap fees, if you would bring
Okay,
that up.
sorry, you're on my screen, it's showing 15-26, which is the moratorium, and so
We
that's
catch up
maybe. So the 16-26, the sewer tap fees is completely under the control of the town. You guys have, police power to control your water, your sewer, et cetera. If the town wanted to waive their sewer tap fees, the board could of course make that decision. But what you need to consider is when I looked at the waiving of the sewer tap fees, it's basically the resolution says that there'll be some sort of policy, and I highly encourage the town to adopt some sort of process or policy so that it's not just assumed that anybody under those broad conditions would get their sewer tap fees waived. And so I do believe I reviewed this yesterday, the resolution stated that that there would be a policy adopted, and you are well within your authority to adopt such policy.
Attorney Bookner, may I ask specifically, we had a community member ask about whether this would be more correctly done by ordinance or resolution. She cited CRS 31-35-701.
For this particular resolution, which is basically a written decision that you are going to consider the waiving of certain tap fees, I think it's fine. When you actually get to your written policy under that statute, you're going to want to go through an ordinance process so that it's properly legislated and then entered into the code, because it's going to delineate a process that's going to have all sorts of material, including what the application will entail, if it's appealable, who it's appealable to, what commission, if any, you want reviewing these before the board approves, et cetera. And so once we get to the point where you're actually adopting the policy, that's where I think it's going to be required to have the ordinance. But for the purposes of the information contained in this resolution, I think this is fine.
And just for the sake of the public, the number in question reads, any city or town owning an established sewer system may by ordinance fix just, reasonable, and necessary rates for the connection with and use of the sewer system directly or indirectly by owners of property situated in unappropriated territory without the boundaries of said city or town. So I'm not sure what that is, and we're gonna have to look at it more, but if you look at this last part of to be it resolved of this resolution. Where, yeah. Sorry, trustee.
I was just reading. That's fair.
Yeah, it's now there be it resolved that the town of Paonia, is it possible to pull this up on the screen?
It was just a hand.
It's just a handout, okay, so I will read it then. This resolution 1626, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Paonia hereby establishes a policy to waive sewer connection to tap fees. For those properties in town currently on septic systems, when the property has a sewer main within 400 feet of the property that creates a window of opportunity. This closes after December 31st, 2029. Our goal here is to get these folks who are wavering onto our system. As the administrator noted, this will allow us to collect rates from them when they are then in the sewer system. And we did have a pretty extensive discussion about this at our work session last week, which is always open to the public and for people to attend. In the future, I think past precedent doesn't always dictate how we do things going forward. And I think we have an opportunity now to get a lot of these aging systems properly connected and in jurisdiction and paying rates. And I think that Administrator Sun had brought this forward proactively. So I just want to open it up to any other rounds of discussion from the trustees. Elliot?
I was curious, what's your address, Paul?
601 Orchard.
601, okay, so you're in the same block that we're already looking at. That was my curiosity. We've got an identified area, so I was like, is there another area? Or were you part of that area? Thank you. That was my question.
Chuck, did you have a comment?
No, I just, after reading the resolution, it seems to me very appropriate. And especially when it's confirmed by the architect. He doesn't see a problem. So.
And I would just reiterate, I wasn't able to attend the work session, but I did watch the video after the fact, and to me, there's a lot of things considered. These systems are very old and likely already in a state of failure, most of them. It's something that needs to happen. Also, it's an incentive for compliance. It's also trying to get these all done in this one area at this one time. And again, reiterating what you've already said as far as fees. Use fees rather than just the tap fees that would be recurring every month.
Yeah, and we do have some environmental concerns around this with high water tables, so that's another piece of this. Okay, if there's no more, is there any more discussion from staff, any more comments? Jordan, I would ask you to just keep it short in the essence of time, but please, what's your comment?
I would disagree with everything else. This annexation of where they were at that time is not where we are with the times that we are in now. So I understand the people struggling. We have capacity at our sewer plant. I know that we had talked about this extensively, and that's where I'm gonna turn back to is the work session. It just makes sense to me. And that's kind of where I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, any other comments from staff or trustees? And I would like to open it up to entertain if there is a motion.
I will move to adopt resolution 1626.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution, we have quorum? Okay, resolution passes.
I was just gonna vote for a 5-minute recess, please.
Okay, I would second a 5-minute recess. We will come back here at 8:35, so technically 7 minutes.
Summer isn't over yet.
Bringing my thing, just.
So just right away.
Oh, there, and she stepped back, she put it on for you.
And bring this session back in. Anyway, so back down, we are now just past the fire. At number 4, in actions and presentations, consideration of accepting a quote for the town hall's roof repair. Is there a staff report on this item?
Yeah, so I have a few things that I don't say and that I think here is gonna need to take over. Like it says in the report, there's a gap down just there at the beginning of this year. We have a few holes patched just to get us by through the winter with the anticipation of a new roofing system. The major problem is the quotes in the packet or what was budget. There is a little confusion among the current staff of where that main number came from. And if Greg would like to say a few things as well.
Happy that one of the quotes we received fits within our budget. That was nice. And we did reach out to them because we discovered in the process that we actually have 2 layers of roof on this roof already. And that's the maximum amount we can allow based on. So we had to reach out to them again and ask them if they would include removing both layers of the existing roof before they put this one on. And low bid didn't change their bid, just kept it the same and taking both layers off, so.
Wow.
That's nice.
Both layers or just one?
2.
Which I thought in the bill it said that there was just the top layer.
That was, we reached out to them and they.
Adjusted. The other thing that I saw from that was 2024 quote.
And we had to get new ones this year.
Okay, so there is a fresh quote. Well, it's not a fresh quote.
No, the packet was before we asked them to remove both layers of roof.
Okay.
And but the other 2 went up a lot. One of them went up to 125,000 and they were changed. And the other one was a little over 100,000.
So, are they sure they understood you? They said that?
Well, they put it in they typed it into the amended quote that says they'll remove both layers of roof.
I do believe you guys have updated quotes, the 2 updated quotes that we didn't get in time for the packet.
Our little clarification on not the 2 higher bids are fully aware of what the skill for. So, they did what the 80 thing, the reinstallation, the solar panels. The 2 other bids do not have but that's an unknown cost up there. As a little bit of an update on that, I got 2 quotes back today for the removal and reinstall of the solar panel system. That is going to be around $10,000 to $11,000 just for that.
And that's the cost separate from the roofing.
One of the companies including it, I believe. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the clarification?
I said one of the companies did include removal and reinstallation of solar panels.
But they wouldn't get charged more.
But they were the $100,000.
What is staff's recommendation at this point in time?
We recommend awarding the bid to the homeowner.
Is that a not to exceed bid? Is that an estimate bid or just?
No, that's
That's a flat price for the job.
Yes, that's.
Okay, so it's a price, it's not a big time. Or it's not a,
So
it's not flexible, it's not flexible. Yeah, it's a quote, it's fine, okay, great.
I have the prints for the search. Yeah, there's no printout for this, just as a point of clarification.
So.
That's
Strategic government
that's not us right now, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your the red staff recommendation is elite commercial roofing.
I met with, his name is Pete Miller. It's out of Cedar Ridge, which is local in Highview. And he's done several commercial roofs on Grand Avenue. There's been no complaints. Yeah, I don't think there'll be a quality work issue with them.
So you have spoken to people who've used that company before?
So I haven't spoken with customers, but my research of looking for reviews online did not turn anything up negative about his quality of work, and he has done work here.
Might be warranted to reach out to his current customers he's having here and see if they're satisfied, if the work's held, and get a perspective on it.
Any other discussion on that?
Could you clarify, it was Elite that said it was, I'm sorry, what did you say, 10 or 11 to the solar and install?
And I met with Elite Commercial Roofing, then Commercial Roofing Restoration. Neither of the companies wanted to take the burden on of dealing with the solar system because it's out of their scope of work. So I agreed that I would do my own search for a contractor to remove the solar panels and reinstall them. And Platinum Roofing has already, it includes in their quote that they would handle it, but they're also contracting that out. So all three roof companies are contracting that out. The only difference is that one of them already has the company selected. The other two we have to find.
And who did the original solar install?
Empower Solar Systems.
Have we reached out to them for a cost as far as remove and install?
So I have reached out to Empower. They told me that as soon as they could get a quote was by the end of this week, possibly into Monday. So I do have 2 quotes that have been submitted, and both of them are within between $10,000 and $11,000. And that also is in line with Platinum Roofing's quote of estimating that line item on the quote at $11,000 for that part of the job.
Thank you. Do you happen to know which, you said that they've done other roofs on Graham, do you happen to know which?
If you have information, go ahead. The only one I know of was the Hayden Theater.
Is this the same, this is the fabric company?
This is out of Cedar Ridge.
Okay, so it's not the ones that we were talking about before, that does the fabric and the.
No.
Okay, then I don't know. Without looking into my records.
So you said the theater would be the
Yes.
one that we're aware of?
And another thing about this is the cost and the scope of work, everything is under warranty. So even by going with a low bid, we should not have concerns if there is an issue, because the warranty comes from the manufacturer of the product itself.
Will that cover installation issues though? That can be a challenge.
That's a great question. I don't want to answer that. If somebody else can, I just don't want to say something and not be 100% accurate.
The question was, does the warranty cover a problem if it was the fault of the installer?
She thinks so, that's what the warranty's.
Just, because sometimes companies like that really, paying their warranties.
Because we haven't handed these out, do you wanna just table this until?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little confused about it, and also it's.
I thought they've been distributed, and I apologize for that, so.
No, it's okay. I think, Jordan, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so there was one quote that was given that Rodney was unavailable for, so I basically got them up there. They looked through it. They I believe they actually did the patch on the roof because they were like, let's just get you through this winter. Rodney, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what they had asked. And I have no idea what company that was. But I also became extremely confident in them when I was like, are you comfortable on a ladder going up here? And he said he was born on a ladder. So
I understand table on the issue until we have more information. I would like it to be known that the damage is serious. There is several spots up there that if you step on, you'll fall through. And it is in really rough condition all the way from the administrator's office to the police department. And the reason why I'm saying this is this was first brought up in 2025. And I just think it's important that we
move it along. I hear you. I guess the question I have, and I'm sorry if I lack clarification on this, is the taking out of the solar system and reinstalling not included in this price, correct? Right. And we have two, but not all of the bids that we asked for that. Is that right? So
We got one from all three of them.
so are we also approving that right now, or are we, no? Okay, so we're still gonna need to see the cost of install and, or taking out and reinstalling brought before us? Or no?
Like Rodney got quotes for, one of them is a little over 10,000, the other one's about.
Right, so then would those, I'm sorry,
Anything over 10 comes to us for approval.
okay, so what, are we planning to have those come back to us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other
But it would
questions?
be just as easy to table this issue and address both of them the same.
Yeah, I guess just to add to the expediency, like obviously we can't fix the roof until the solar system comes off.
exactly.
And also, I think it's supposed to start raining again, hopefully, and I know that that's gonna be an issue, so. I do wanna respect the need for moving on this, and I'm also a little confused about the total cost of the project at this point in time. Yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't trying to come off as like super urgent. I was just trying to, like the previous board had been discussing this, and I just wasn't sure if the town council was aware of what the damages actually like is all. That I'm saying, I don't want it to be forgotten about for another year, but tabling tonight seems appropriate because not all the information has been presented to you.
or is the board of trustees okay with tabling this for this evening?
I move to table this to the next regular meeting.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much, Rodney and Jordan. And we will get to this soon. Okay, moving on to our next item. Consideration of approval of Dell Technologies quote for IT equipment. Is there a staff report?
We received 2 quotes on this and really thank Robin for all of the work he's done to get those quotes. The amount in the budget in the capital plan is way lower than we need to replace this equipment. But we need to replace this equipment. The police are dealing with laptops that are 14, 15 years old, maybe older, and they can't even connect. They can't even use the security that's mandated for the federal and state databases that they get into. So at some point, they're gonna just tell them, no, you can't look at any of this stuff. That's a problem. And they need computers that they can put in their vehicles because that's become kind of standard of law enforcement. Haven't been that.
That's the current platform that they use for Spillman, which is our report database. Everybody else has the capability to count except us. And my computer, I finally just put it upstairs because it's working more. It won't update any further, which it is very easily breached if something got into our system. So currently my laptop super slow, but I mean, it's still getting work done. It just takes a little bit longer. Yeah, this has been we've been fighting since last year. It's, yeah, you can't connect to our system half the time.
And so I recommend the low bid from Dell, which is about $10,000 lower than the other quote we got, which is pretty significant. And it will help us speed on IT equipment that we need. And then we'll get on a replacement program so that we don't have to buy this.
That's what I was just gonna ask is where are we at budget wise with this? Is this gonna require any kind of amendment?
It might, but these are capital purchases. I think there's plenty of cash in the fund in order to do an amendment if we need it. And don't know at this point if we're going to be purchasing all of the capital items that are in the document because we're already. So
Which items do you foresee as maybe not purchasing?
I don't know yet. I would like to be able to purchase as many of them as I could.
Yeah.
Just to get up to speed, because some of them look like they've been there for a while.
I would like to ask for a report on the status of the capital budget at the next meeting, so we can understand where we are with all the spends that we've been doing. And I appreciate the staff effort to really research the companies that we can take these low bids or really entertain these low bids. And I hear the need to have our police department functioning and our other technology up to date. Are there any other discussion on this item at this point in time from the trustees before we open up to public comment?
Okay, I've got a
Yeah.
question. So are the 14-inch laptops not all from the police department for the in-car vehicles, or is that for staff? Or some combination of both?
The 8 Dell regular ones are for the P.
Okay, and those are the only 14-inch ones? Yeah. Okay, that answers my question. I was like, I've got a 14-inch and I've got a 16-inch, and I gotta use them a lot all the time. That can be less than 5. So I just was thinking about the person behind the keyboard. It's one some.
You would have been here and nothing.
Absolutely. I like,
I'm gonna open this up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? Yes.
Ethel Short, I live in town. So last year at the police auction, I purchased a little golf cart. You probably see me drive around town, the polite mobile. At the time, my daughter and I were the ones that purchased it. We purchased a second one also. They were police owned, they were police little golf carts. And just chit chatting with staff and, you know, talking about what we were going to do. And I was informed that I couldn't leave the police sticker part on it, which is how it became the polite mobile, because I covered the C up with a T. That's irrelevant, I understand, but my understanding from gossiping, and it was pure gossip with people, was that money from the auction was supposed to be used to upgrade the computers for the police then. Why has it taken a year to do that? And where has that money gone? Is it in a fund, this particular fund for that? I don't know, I just don't really like what that sounds like. And it makes me wonder. But I'll keep driving the float.
Is there any other public comment on the item at this time? Okay, seeing none, any other further comments or discussion from the trustees? Oh, yes, trustee Foster.
A quick question. So this quote represents everything that needs to be replaced at this time to get everyone up to speed, or is this just take care of the kind of bottom rung of issues?
This is everything that we need right now, but we need to be proactive in the future and replace a few of them every year.
Okay, thank you.
Does perhaps we should consider including a discussion of the replacement program being developed?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to do that.
Is that something that we might be able to add to a resolution? Direct staff, or would you prefer to bring that back to us?
I think we would handle that during the budgeting process.
Okay. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion on this resolution, consideration of approval of Dell Technologies quote for IT equipment.
Move that we accept the bid from Dell, or the offer from, quote from Dell to replace our IT equipment.
Quite better, is that a sufficient motion?
It is. Usually we have the amount in there
Okay.
for the record.
I move that we accept the quote from Dell for 2,000, no, I mean, jeez, sorry, dude. What is that, 40,000?
3,192.80. 192.60.
I move that we accept the quote from Dell for 40,192.60 for the IT equipment 60.
Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. I'd love to see a procurement plan come forward for future, so we're not spending so much all at once, and also a question answered of how funds were used from the auction. Thank you. Okay, let's move on here. Consideration of approving the SB 24-174 compliance addendum to the housing needs assessment. Who will be giving the staff report on this item?
I'll give this.
Thank you.
We contracted with the same firm that did the housing needs assessment back in 2014. They are very well aware of what the study was, and so having them updated, it's just a logical choice. And this was to comply with a new state law that was passed in 2024. Senate Bill 24-172.
SB 24-174.
And it addresses some of the housing needs that were not addressed in the original assessment.
So is this then to come into compliance with SB 24-174?
Yes, that's what the response, and it had a preliminary review by staff member Ndola. He said doesn't need.
Are there any trustee questions or discussion on this item? This seems pretty straightforward to me. We brought it up at the working session. This doesn't say we're going to be adding housing. It brings us in compliance with the state statute, which allows us to be eligible for funding in the future on a variety of things going forward. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing, is there any online public comment on this item? No,
We don't see any here.
okay. Then I'd like to bring it back and entertain a motion.
I move to approve the SB 24-174 compliance addendum to the housing needs assessment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Foster? All opposed? We got a thumbs up. Motion passes. All right, we're moving on here. Consideration of accepting a proposal from RFP 2603 executive search firm that we've all been waiting for. And Administrator Sun, could I ask you to give us a report from the hiring committee on this?
Yes. The hiring committee reviewed all 9 proposals we received. And you have a sheet that describes the top 3 rated proposals. One of them is Greg Rothman, HR, initials GMP, HR, Strategic Government Resources, and Mosaic, with the Greg Rothman proposal being the high one. But the hiring committee decided that their authority was to present to you the top 3 firms. If you want the committee to do more research, like interviewing or meeting with each of these proposers and coming up with a recommendation for one of them, they ask that you pass that in a motion to look into this further. Otherwise, if you want to just pick one from this list, you can do that too. We've included in this spreadsheet the base cost that they charge, the expected not to exceed cost. Strangely though, the not to exceed cost doesn't include several optional items.
Would you like to check a second bag?
So with the not to exceed cost on the proposals themselves, they're all in a very similar range.
Thank you. I would just like to speak on behalf of the hiring committee and then open it up to Trustee Foster, who is also on the committee, and to Jordan, who are also on the committee. We felt that we wanted time to actually get a chance to interview these people and like hear their voices and see their faces, and see how they might respond to the emphasis we have on local and certain hiring practices that we think are important as a community. So that's why we're doing this. Trustee Foster, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would just say, I think it was pretty unanimous that the reason that these 3 rose to the top was because they had a really strong emphasis on community engagement throughout. Project management. They also had experience in Colorado and in small towns. And I think they were all focused on really understanding the specific needs of our community and what type of candidate we're looking for. They also all were actively engaging with potential candidates and seeking people out, not necessarily waiting for people to apply, which I think speaks to their specific skills and some things that we potentially, well, things we couldn't accomplish on our own without a firm like this. So yeah, definitely, and happy to hear whatever staff or the other members of the hiring committee have to say as well.
Jordan, I'd like to open up for you if you have anything that's pertinent to add that hasn't been added to the discussion so far. It's not there. Okay, so any other general comments or questions? Yeah.
So, I was just gonna say, I wasn't able to be at the hiring committee meeting yesterday because I was ill and stuff like that, but I would say I agree with everything you guys have said. Those are the same things that I looked at in the scoring that I was really pleased with. It's an important position and Peonia is a certified person. So those are the same reasons that I thought these 3 firms were with, or all 3 were pretty good, so.
Trustee Press.
I was gonna say I was in agreement with the first, that thing that Greg said, well, we should reevaluate, we should collect some inquiries from the trustees, interview these 3 finalists and make the choice of the best fit moving forward.
Did you have something to add, trustee Chuck?
No, I just wanted to get the feeling of the hiring of the committee in that if you would like to actually interview these 3 finalists before you would make your
Yes.
recommendation.
I felt strongly that I wanted to interview them. It's, yeah, I think that you learn a lot by talking to somebody about how they would respond to unknowns or particularities about our community and the rural community and how seriously they really would take us. And so, to me, it felt important to have a minute to be able to talk to them and also to be respectful in light of this kind of like additional step in the process and it taking more time. We would also be talking to them about their soonest start date possible because we want to be respectful to our interim and also try to find a full-time person as soon as we can. So we also wanted the opportunity to talk to them about the timeline, which wasn't outlined so specifically before in our RFP. So this allowed us to have a little bit more of a discussion on that, and then also just you learn a lot from these packets, and anyone, I encourage you to read them if you're interested from the public, at least these top 3. But I think you just learn so much from getting a chance to hear someone's voice and ask them some questions and see how they respond. So yes, I think the committee felt like we wanted to do this, and we also wanted to respect time to make sure that we can keep the process moving and we're not pushing it all the way to February. Okay.
I would agree with everything that's been said. I was looking forward to hearing what the hiring committee had to say. I definitely appreciate all of your insight. And yeah, I would be happy to make a motion to instruct after.
Yes.
The hiring committee.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm gonna open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? All right, going once. Okay, not going twice. We're gonna move on and move it back to trustees. Unless there's any other discussion, I'd like to open this up for a motion. I don't think that. I'm gonna make a motion, but was to make that.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to have the hiring committee for the executive search firm for the town administrator continue with their work and conduct interviews and reference checks and any other background information they deem necessary for the top 3 firms listed as GMPHR, Strategic Government Resources, and Mosaic.
I'll second that.
Great, all in favor? Aye. Steve Foster?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposed, motion passes. Thank you. All right, now. Consideration of amendment number 2 to agreement with respec for pre-construction work services and construction engineering services.
This is the next step in this project. We awarded the bids. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for Thursday. And we need to have engineering firm engaged to do the inspections, to do the follow-up reports, all of the pre-construction things done prior to the project starting, and to make sure that the project is constructed as. If you don't look over the shoulder of contractors, sometimes you don't get what you thought you got.
Can you expand on why you said that? How does this help us look over the shoulder of contractors?
That's what the engineering firm does, is they have inspectors who look at what work is being done. They will also work with our staff to make sure that we're monitoring what's going on. As you all know, who have gone to all of these places now, they're kind of all over the place. So it is quite a bit of work to monitor all of it. Where they are, they designed the project. And construction engineering is a normal part of the project.
So our then, the amendment two is for the 31,000, 21,000. For construction services, or is it all? Yeah.
No, it's, we aren't doing pre-construction services for West Loop project, we haven't had that one yet.
Okay.
So it comes, I think with the two together, it comes to some thousand. They did the math based on the size of the project, and that's within an acceptable range.
Is it in our budget currently?
Yes, this is all part of the project.
So you're not asking us to approve brand new money?
No.
There it is. At 31 and 21?
No, those two numbers are.
Okay,
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Yeah, this doesn't look like the most current one because they removed the West Loop project considerations out of this because when this was put together, they thought both projects were going to be awarded at the same time. And because we don't have easements for the West Loop project, I asked you to reject the bids for that one, so we're not constructing that one right now.
I understand our work session is already full next week, but is this something that we could add to our emergency meeting at the beginning? Am I? Off the shirts.
yeah, I agree with Lucy because I think we really need to cross our T's and dot our I's when it comes to spending on this project. And while I trust your recommendation, unfortunately, the public documentation and the paperwork is confusing, and I want to make sure that the record is correct and that anyone coming after us will be able to tell what we did and that it lines up with the public record of the proposal.
Do any trustees have any objections to tabling this?
Just need you to, I need a motion to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and table this item for now. Do we have a motion to add to the next agenda?
I'll move to table this to next Tuesday and add this as a second agenda item to the special board meeting at the beginning work session.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, this one goes to Elliot. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes, thank you. We're going to move on to the next item here. Consideration of appointing a trustee to the One Delta County Board as a representative.
Stephen Wynn was the representative of the town while he was here. And as you listened to a request meeting or two ago, the woman who spoke to the board said that she would like to see Tammy have a representative on the board.
Creative Coalition Director.
And it is a good organization to be involved in. However, you want to appoint someone, I encourage you to do that.
So this is not my strong suit, but given my absolutely running away from Mayor Pro Tem, if nobody else wants to do this, I will do it.
Is there anyone who feels compelled or they have a specific passion for this role?
If you could refresh me on the role.
It's the county's economic development board. And the role is to be a board member on that board. And it's so you'd be hearing proposals, finding where economic development might occur in the county, and be well aware of all of those issues that are happening. So I've been on these kind of boards before, and they're just fun to keep up to date.
How often does the board meet?
Usually.
Trustee Foster, I see you took yourself off mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. They meet once a month, is that correct?
Typically, yes.
Okay,
And
and
it may be more often if there's project that they're looking at or some company they're looking to bring in.
And is it,
Yeah, every other month, I think, but it's not very soon.
Did you clarify it's every other month?
The quick Google search reply said every other month, I haven't, stayed on the Delta County website.
Sorry, trustee Foster, go ahead.
okay, is there, like a term time period? Or is it just,
Does someone have to serve a certain term where they can serve and then leave?
You
when they
can
want?
serve, you can leave, you can replace that person.
I would be willing to do this role.
Lucy, are you?
I'm totally okay with that.
Thank you, trustee Foster. I think that's you're well suited for it. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to, talk her out of it in the future, I'm sure she'll entertain whatever, taking her to lunch.
Or if you ever need a backup, like if you're unable to attend, I'd be happy to go in your place, trustee Foster.
Yeah, myself as well.
Great,
Thank
thank you. Okay, is there any more board discussion on this? No. Is there any public comment on this item appointment to One Delta County?
Does it have to be a trustee? No. So we're gonna be somebody.
It has to be a representative of the town.
Yeah.
So staff or trustee.
But you guys appoint someone to represent you?
No,
That's what you're doing.
that's what we're doing. I think the question is,
Could we nominate a member of the public to
I don't
represent
think
us?
so. I think it has to be somebody to.
yes, then please come up to the podium. I'm losing decorum, so let's get it. I know.
So my understanding is with One Delta County, if a citizen wants to go and become part of One Delta County, you are more than welcome to go and become.
Okay.
All you have to do is ask for an application. You have to do so.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna move this back and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint trustee Foster to the One Delta County Board as a representative.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much, trustee Foster.
Yes, thank you.
Consideration of authorizing the town clerk to sign the election IGA with Delta County. Is there a second?
Yeah, just verbal, and I'm gonna make it quick because it doesn't need to be too much in this and it's getting late. So I'm just asking you to preemptively approve this. It's generally when we're gonna do an election, you guys authorize the town clerk to sign the IGA with Delta County. It puts out my duties as an election official. However, not gonna be turning it in quite yet. It's due in 2 Tuesdays. But we're gonna be bringing a couple of issues to you guys in the next work session, and one of them is potentially a ballot item. So I'm just trying to preemptively be prepared so I can send it off, so we can move to that if it looks like that we're gonna go in that direction. So this isn't gonna be signed until we know whether or not we're gonna do it. It's just that deadline is fast approaching, and I'm always doing it at the last minute. I'd like to get it to them early one time, just in case.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Yes, please come up to the podium. And state your name for the record.
Ethel Short, in town. What is the election IGA?
So I'd like to invite Administrator Centerfold.
It's IGA means intergovernmental agreement. Anytime there's a relationship formed between two local governments, you need to have one.
What is this agreement authorize?
With this agreement, the county would conduct the election for the town.
We do coordinated elections, is what we do.
So we would piggyback on their election.
Yep.
all the towns in Delta County do. It's a cost sharing thing. It's less equipment and stuff. Individual clerks are still responsible for local things, but the big bulk of it goes through Delta County elections.
It's a great piece of education. Yes. Okay, is there any more public comment? Okay, trustees, are we good? Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I motion to authorize the town clerk to sign the intergovernmental agreement. Is that good enough?
IGA with whom?
With Delta County, the intergovernmental agreement with Delta County for the 2026 election.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. Good education on democracy.
I will move to extend the meeting to 9:45.
There's a motion to extend the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The meeting is extended to 9:45. We're gonna run a little faster. Consideration of extending the local marijuana license for Jimmy Joints 3 months to align it with the state license expiration. Is there a staff report?
This one is also me, and I'm still doing my best to get us finished at 9:30. So, just you get a little bit of education in the way marijuana licensing works. It starts at the state level and it works backwards, which is opposite from what the license is. Which means that Jimmy's Joint got their state retail marijuana license long before the town issued ours, because we were responsible for the final inspection to make sure when all their construction was done, you know, that they were good to go before we issued it. And because of that, almost a year later, that the local license was done. So they get a state expiration in December, they have a local expiration in September. I'd like to align that. So if you guys do this, then it just means that our expiration date is gonna match the state's. It makes it a lot easier on them and on us. The police department doesn't have any objections to this. I did double check with them. And then you guys will be seeing them again in December when they read it. So there's no fee for this or anything. I'm just gonna, if you approve this, I'm just gonna issue a new local license with the new date on it. That's it.
Thank you. Any further questions? I would like to entertain a motion on this item. Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, public comment. Is there any public comment on the consideration of extending a local marijuana license for Jimmy Joint 3 months to align it with state license expiration? Seeing no public comment, will come back to the board. Oh,
Comment.
okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm on Zoom.
Oh, hi. Sorry, Susie.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
I'm Susie Caldas. I'm a member of this community that happens to live one property out of town. I support this. I was looking into renewing our state license because the town license is up 3 months delayed, but actually ahead. And I can't renew the state license yet to give the town all of the information you need for your renewal, because the state only gives us like a 3-month window online. So this is just logistical, like Samira said. It just helps with efficiency. And that's the only reason we're requesting this. So thank you for consideration.
Thank you for clarifying, Susie. Okay, great. Any more public comment? Any more comment online? Okay, thanks. So we'll bring it back to the board. Any other further board questions? All right, then I'd like to entertain a motion on this item.
I move to extend the local marijuana license for Jimmy's Joint to December 2026.
Is that sufficient, Clerk Butler?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just match the date.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, all right. Consideration of appointing Ms. Lochran as ADA coordinator for the town of Paonia. Is there a staff update on this?
Stefan was our town ADA coordinator. With him not being there, it actually aligns with Spockman's job description now as our community development director, something she has passion for. She's actually knows a lot about, and she's the best choice for it. So Stefan was made that way by a motion and a vote from the board. So we're asking you to change that to.
Is there any known or legal reason why this wouldn't be okay? Okay, great.
Our job to make sure we're doing the right thing.
I would love to invite our Ms. Bachran. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, just yeah, ADA is hugely important and it helps everybody, not just people who need it.
Thank you. I'd like to open this up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? Consideration of appointing Ms. Bachran to ADA as the ADA coordinator for the town of Paonia. Any online? Okay, move it back. Any discussion or comment from the trustees?
I just want to say that I thought this was a great idea before, but since Ms. Brockren shared her background, I'm even more in favor of it, and she clearly feels strongly about the matter, and which I think makes her just even more well suited. So thank you for stepping up to take control of that.
And Jordan was just giving thumbs up.
Yes. Great. Well, yes, second, but thank you. And seems like we're lucky to have someone with such expertise on this. I move to appoint Dina Bachran as ADA coordinator for the town.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you and welcome.
We're just make sure she's good.
Okay, this concludes the portion of the meeting on action items. We are going to now transition to mayor and trustee reports. I would like to ask the board if there's any discussion or report on the STR committee to start.
They're full now.
Yeah, good for now.
And I think
We have a new member here.
the discussion is real positive. We'll hopefully come up with a proposal long before the end of the year deadline. At least that's my hope.
And we now have a full committee, which is great. Okay, I'm also gonna open this up to something that I didn't know that we could do, which is, are there any trustee reports that anyone would like to talk about, items they would like to put in the parking lot or anything they want to report about?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have something in the parking lot that Trustee Hunter and I brought up a while ago, but I think it got kind of lost in the shuffle. And that was the creation of, or the proposal of a creation of a personnel committee to address some HR issues that had come up with some previous employees. Just how to go about addressing those and creating appropriate channels for issues to be brought up.
Thank you, Trustee Foster. Are there any other trustee items or reports? I would just like to add that we have been in quite a bit of discussion about the issue with fares. It's a heartbreaking situation this year, and we want to make sure the town is safe and reduce the impact of our staff and the community. And we've had a lot of internal discussion on this, and we've also been in conversations with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And we're looking at other towns to create an ordinance. So we hope to be bringing forward an ordinance soon on this matter and providing some additional support to residents in conjunction with police and public works department. So we just to acknowledge the public comments earlier, this is something that we are aware of and have been internally starting to talk about several weeks ago and hope to bring it forward soon. So that's on my side, and thanks to also to Trustee Foster for working with me on that.
I've got one bear comment that popped in my head earlier. I remember we used to have dogs tear up the trash when I was a kid. My mom would take a cat full of bleach or ammonia, but at the same time, and throw it into the trash. fine, you know, and then the animal rips it open and gets a face full of ammonia and it doesn't wanna, you know, that's a negative association. Nobody likes breathing that stuff. They got 3% at the grocery store. You know, so it could just be a potential mild deterrent.
Former Mayor Pro Tem Majorado just posted a video today, I think, of a bear at his place last night, and he had wrapped ammonia soaked rag over the top with a ratchet strap. He's got video of the big bear wrestling with it and all.
Yeah, I opened the front door and I bear that far. I was like, oh, close the door.
Yes.
Just on that note, CPW does encourage a strategy of hazing the bears. So yeah, creating like deterrents in those ways. It does seem that the straps are the most effective thing that Bear did within Hector Majorado's video, did kind of wrestle with the can for a few minutes despite the ammonia rag. But so I think it's like a multi-pronged approach in terms of properly securing the trash and then also discouraging in any way that we can. And I did just get confirmation that we we need to confirm with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, but the Paradise Theater is available for us to do a public info session on the matter on Monday, the 17th. So tentatively mark your calendars for that as well.
And we also spoke to CPW, and there is a grant program that we can apply for this winter for next year to help us upgrade our systems. We'll see what the Department of Public Works is able to hear from Mount Crested View. And then we also have introduced to them the concept that was brought up actually earlier by the public, which is diversion feeding stations. So that's also floating out there in discussion. Yes, Jordan. Okay. Great. All right. Okay. So, that's my trustee report. I think if there are any other trustee reports at this time. Okay. So I am going to adjourn the meeting. It says prior to adjournment, everyone needs to sign this. And the time, I guess everyone signs Namaste final thing.
Yeah, you're trying to make people run and they can sign, so you gotta sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I think maybe we need to put polling centers on the agenda after this experience. Considering this is our polling centers. It's smart.
Your clothes before you.
Okay, the time is now 9:34 and I adjourn this meeting.
Nicely done. I didn't think there